with all the LEGO games combined, there is a total of 407 bosses, so why don't we take a look at the best boss from every single LEGO game? Cue the music.
Hold on a second.
Join me, and I will complete your training.
So, hello there guys, I am RuggedEagle and welcome to my LEGO game channel, and you know, we're gonna have to determine what a best boss is. I mean, in all honesty, it's rather simple, basically how enjoyable that specific boss battle can be alongside what does it offer to make it stand out upon the rest, as there is 407 bosses. So, kicking things off with, we have LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, and if you're not with me on this one, then you're my enemy, and that is Anakin Skywalker from Obi-Wan vs Anakin. As they say, only a Sith deals in absolutes, and I will not be including LEGO Star Wars the video game on the list, nor LEGO Star Wars 2 the original trilogy, because we have the complete saga. Now, given the context of Obi-Wan vs Anakin, this is a really clever way in depicting this boss battle, because it actually makes you battle your own co-op partner at the end. Now, granted it's a little bit unfair because Obi-Wan has to win, there's no way Anakin Skywalker can win. And I even go to enjoy the earlier stages of this boss battle where you have to work together and do all the parkour segments that I still fail to this day. Especially this bit. In all honesty, a lot of the aspects within this boss battle we've never seen repeated in previous LEGO games, and it really makes it stand out. I mean, you've got the time segments, you've got the parkour segments, you've got you battling your own mate at the end, which we do see return in the Skywalker saga in Return of the Jedi when you battle Vader. And hang on a minute, yes, this is the best boss, but do you hear that? I hear the Indiana Jones theme. Oh yeah, next up is LEGO Indiana Jones, the original adventures with the German mechanic. Now, I know that doesn't sound like the best boss, but literally, do not mess with the German mechanic. He is shredded from head to toe. This little plastic ball bloke right here can survive missiles to begin with. Bullets don't even affect him, alongside he can get hit by a truck and he just brushes it off. So this bloke right here, his only weakness is punching a giant anvil, and I love teasing him around the edge of the circle. It's just so fun to do. Now, the indie games aren't really well known for their amazing boss battles. The main gameplay aspects within LEGO Indiana Jones is obviously the puzzles. However, this one really stood out to me because I love how you utilise the plane in the centre to destroy the trucks that the enemies flood in with to build the giant anvil, because this is the only way you can defeat this inevitable bloke. Also, to point out, I really love the level, especially after the boss battle where you stood on top of the trucks battling the enemies. Overall, it's a fantastic level and definitely worthy of the best boss. Even though he's just a German mechanic, he's still very good. And then get a load of this, when you finally defeat him, he gets his head chopped off by the blade on the plane, and he's still alive. It is now time to head over to Gotham City in LEGO Batman the video game, and don't turn your light on for this one, otherwise you're just going to attract him over, and that is kill him off. To begin with, Into the Dark Knight is probably one of the best levels within LEGO Batman the video game, as it literally has the disco floor. This is my jam. Anyway, in terms of the actual kill him off boss battle, I really love how it is very cliche. You've got to lure kill him off towards the light because obviously he's a moth. The boss battle mainly relies upon Batman's demolition suit alongside Robin's technology suit. It does feature quite a little bit of co-op play, mainly it's just flicking levers down to turn on the light bulb to finally get kill him off down to attack him. And whilst talking about this, let's just have the disco music on, come on. However, this is a very common trope across LEGO Batman the video game, and I really love the simplicity of the bosses in this game. A lot of the times it's basically you just disabling the boss to attack him. With all this in mind, the main reason why I have chosen Kill 'Em Off is I love how cliche it is, and I just think Kill 'Em Off deserves a bit of spotlight. Yeah, we'll move on, shall we? Next up is LEGO Indiana Jones 2, the adventure continues with the Ant-Man, otherwise known as Colonel Dovchenko. If you have played Indiana Jones 2, you will know that they have a weird obsession with making all of the final bosses this gigantic creature. Like, when did Mola Ram have this, and when did Donovan turn into this? And the bosses were a massive disappointment, and I were happy with just the very simplistic bosses in LEGO Indiana Jones 1 compared to these. Howbeit, there is one exception, and that is Colonel Dovchenko, basically the giant ant guy. In some sort of sense, it is rather unique, as what you need to use is the crystal skull to propel the ants away to basically get traffic cones to cover up the ant hills, and then you can defeat Dovchenko. And really, it is that simplistic. That is all you really do in the boss battle, and it does beat all of the other gigantic bosses in Indy 2, and I really do love how it looks in terms of its visual aesthetics, and it does go to beat all the other bosses in Indy 2, which ain't much competition, but it is a rather enjoyable boss. Anyway, I do have to say the ants do look very similar to spiders, and next up is a spider, and that's Aragog from LEGO Harry Potter Years 1 to 4. Now I know this boss battle ain't gonna be for everyone because it's literally a gigantic Lego spider chasing you down on a motorcycle. Now call me sadistic or call me crazy, but this is the main reason why I love Aragog so much. You're literally battling a giant Lego spider, which we've only seen after this once in Lego Lord of the Rings. In terms of gameplay, you probably were expecting this one, but all you end up doing is using Lingardium Leviosa to throw spiders back at Aragog. Then after you move on to my favourite segment where you're trying to escape from Aragog on the motorcycle and the flying car, but for some reason the motorcycle just starts glitching out and it's proper weird. And if you take a look back at all of the bosses in LEGO Harry Potter Years 1 to 4, a lot of the time you're mainly just using Lingardium Leviosa to throw objects back at the boss, such as Professor Quirrell / Voldemort from the first movie, and you may be sat there wondering why didn't I place the Basilisk on this spot, but the Basilisk / Tom Riddle boss fight, it just seems like you're making a potion. To me, it just felt like a glorified puzzle. You've got a really cool basilisk just watching you in the background whilst you're trying to make a potion. And LEGO Harry Potter Years 1 to 4 is my most played LEGO game, and I've decided to go with Aragog because I really love the design, and it is definitely a very memorable boss because it's a gigantic spider, and I love the chase at the end, especially with the motorbike. And I'm telling you now, Harry, you carry on driving like that, you're going to have more than one scar on your head. And oh yeah, give us the Clone Wars theme, because next up is LEGO Star Wars 3. The Clone Wars. Now looking back to this day, I always preferred LEGO Star Wars 3 over the complete saga, and the one main boss that caught my eye is the Rogwarts. Funnily enough, this ain't even a main boss within the game. He actually appears in the mid-section of the level, General Grievous' lair, which is one of the best LEGO game levels of all time. Even just by the way you intervene through General Grievous' lair in the dark with Kit Fisto's green lightsaber illuminating the walls and you don't know where you are fighting all the droids, it's a really awesome level, and then you're just thrown in there with the Rogwart, and that's what makes it so great. It even goes to place in a very interesting mechanic on how you take down this boss. What you need to use is the grapple hook on either side of the Rogwart to pin it down as the clone troopers to allow the Jedi to, cut him up. Out of all of the bosses in LEGO Star Wars 3, that being Ventress, General Grievous, even Anakin and Ahsoka, the Zillo Beast, this one really prominently stood out to me because I really love how it utilises the grappling mechanic, and I just think it's awesome how he appears out of nowhere, especially if you've not seen the episode, and let's not forget, the level is so good. Even to the likes of General Grievous just sat there having surgery in the background whilst you're taking down the Rogwart. I mean, it's not often you get to play as Kit Fisto. I love his little smile, look at him. And so let's appreciate Kit Fisto for 2 seconds. There you go. And you best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner, because you're in one. Next up is LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean with Captain Barbossa. And oh, this boss battle, to begin with, it has this phenomenal theme blaring in the background throughout the entire fight. Oh, it's too good, it's too good. Now, this is going to take a very dark turn real quick. What you need to do is lure the henchmen towards the moonlight, as that's the only way you can defeat these henchmen. Then you go to use all of their bones and their corpses to build. Yeah. In all honesty, this is a rather intricate way on how you go about getting up to Barbossa, and in terms of battling Barbossa, you have to do the opposite on what you do to the henchmen. And what can I say? Fighting in the moonlight, I'm gonna use your bones to build stuff. Basically sums up the boss battle. There even is a second segment to this boss battle, and it's rather simple, this bit. All you basically do is just throw coconuts at Captain Barbossa whilst his monkey Jack distracts the other player. Combining all of the factors together, this is easily the best boss in the game. You've got the unique mechanic of using the bones alongside the theme blaring in the background, easily the best. This time we ain't following the spiders, we're going to take the Hogwarts Express for this one by running through a brick wall, and that's LEGO Harry Potter Years 5 to 7 with Voldemort. from Order of the Phoenix. Now, in LEGO Harry Potter Years 5 to 7, they primarily go to use the dueling system for around 90% of the boss battles. Being brutally honest, I do go to enjoy the dueling system, but for me, it just lacks a lot of layers. It doesn't really matter who you're dueling because the difficulty stays the same. So I mean, it's an easy choice in terms of the best boss because it has to be one that differentiates itself from the dueling system, and that is Voldemort from the Order of the Phoenix, the final boss in that movie. And when you get to play as everyone's favourite Dumbledore with Harry Potter and you fight off a big giant fire snake alongside blocking shards of glass to throw sandcastles at Voldemort. Though it is the best boss battle in this LEGO game, I wouldn't go to say this is a really good boss battle. It's just really different to the dueling system, and that's what makes it stand out, and I think that's why it has to be the best boss in the game. Saying all of this, however, I am a massive fan of the area where you have to block all the shards of glass as Dumbledore to allow Harry Potter to build a sandcastle behind you. That does have a really nice co-op feature, and that's really all it's got about going for it. Now, it may sound like I'm just slating LEGO Harry Potter Years 5 to 7. I do enjoy the dueling system, and I don't think it excels at the boss battles within LEGO Harry Potter Years 5 to 7. I think the main prominent factor for this game is the puzzles. And oh look, the days of mumbling are now over. It's time to head over to LEGO Batman 2 with Scarecrow. By a small margin, I nearly placed on the Joker mech freefall boss battle. However, we have seen tons of free-falling bosses within LEGO games. I mean, you had Ventress falling on the big droid in LEGO Star Wars 3. We've had many times it's been repeated. Then, well, it appeared to me just how incredible the Scarecrow boss battle is. To the likes of where he intoxicates the entire room with his fear toxin, and I really love the visuals. Alongside this, it also messes with your controls. You can't even walk straight, let alone the absolute abundance of henchmen that come flooding in, because obviously you're in Arkham Asylum, and the level overall is a really enjoyable level. You see Mr. Freeze, Killer Croc. The main objective of the boss battle is to basically turn on ventilation to flood out all of the fear toxin. The puzzle requires you to do some basic co-op play by switching back and forth between Robin and Batman to obviously get up to the ventilation pump. And due to the absurd amount of fear toxin, it allows Scarecrow to hallucinate himself bigger than he actually is. Then if you go to use Batman with his sensor suit on, you just see a giant skeleton with a hat on. And looking at that peculiar hat, it does remind me of someone. Oh yeah, that's Gandalf the Grey. It's now time to head over to Middle-earth in LEGO Lord of the Rings. And hey, just before we move on any further, if you have gone to enjoy this video so far, a like would be really appreciated. And thank you all so much for the amazing support. Anyway, for the next one, you're probably going to think I have a massive fascination with giant spiders, and that's Shelob. Thinking about it, the level beforehand where you're in Shelob's lair is actually kind of terrifying for a LEGO game. It's really awesome though. Now, comparing this one to obviously Aragog, this is a lot better. In some sort of regard, you are actually the boss within this boss battle. Due to the crystal phial given to Frodo from Galadriel, you possess the power of Elendil's Star, which really takes its toll upon this boss battle because you're kind of the aggressor here chasing after Shelob to try and defeat it. The only time you snooker is obviously when you lose it or when you have to throw it at it when it's stuck on the wall. It definitely goes to set a really interesting premise for this boss battle, with you being the aggressor chasing after Shelob. I really like that different take upon the boss, and that's what makes it stand out for me. And it's a big spider. The other one I was debating was Saruman from the Gandalf vs Saruman fight, the Battle of the Wizards, and I really love how you just throw Saruman around. That's the main highlight for me. But anyway, moving on. That's it for big spiders, I promise. Next up is LEGO City Undercover with Chase McCain. LEGO City Undercover is one of the greatest LEGO games, and it's severely underrated. And for the best boss battle, I'm gonna go with Rex Fury in space at the very end of the game, because there isn't many boss battles in LEGO City Undercover. There's about 3. The setting of this boss battle is really out of this world, I mean literally. You're on a tower battling with Rex Fury, and what you need to do is wrestle with all of the astronauts to throw them at Rex Fury, and then the stage starts collapsing the more the boss battle goes on, increasing the difficulty. With there being not all too many bosses in LEGO City Undercover, this was a very easy choice. It has to be this. It looks like planets are back on the menu, boys, because next up is LEGO Marvel Superheroes 1 with Galactus. This boss battle is so impeccable, it is absolutely amazing. From the shot of the superheroes walking towards the camera with Doctor Doom, Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Storm, the X-Men, it did not disappoint. The Galactus boss battle is so iconic for many reasons. I mean, you're literally fighting a giant Galactus on a helicarrier. The sheer build-up to this fight just makes it so worth it. You've got all of the heroes and the villains coming together to take out the main focal point, that being Galactus, controlled by Loki. There's just so many layers to this boss battle. You've got how it splits up all of the characters into separate teams, that being 4 total teams to all do a puzzle to try and defeat Galactus. To me though, I just love how Galactus imposes a threat onto you when you're trying to do the puzzles, such as when he tries to eat you, alongside when he does his laser beam shaking the helicarrier. Even to the minute details, if you notice there's no henchman to defeat here, the main focal point is Galactus. 100% worthy of this position, it's Galactus, come on. Mind you, LEGO Marvel Superheroes is really good for bosses, there's a lot of good ones. It's now time to jump over to where everything is awesome. Haven't done that in a while, it's LEGO Movie, the video game. And it has to go to the final boss being Lord Business from the very last level in LEGO Movie, the video game. However, I did go to explain this in full details in my ranking all of the LEGO game final bosses from worst to best. If you want to check that video out, there'll be a card up there and a link at the end. I definitely recommend doing so. For a short conclusion, the main highlight here is the co-op play on how it splits both of the characters Unikitty and Emmett up, and they both have to meet up at the end to battle Lord Business. Also, at the end of the day, there's only like 2 or 3 bosses in LEGO Movie the video game, so it's gonna be this. Anyway, it's time to head far over the misty mountains cold to LEGO Hobbit, with the best boss being the Goblin King. To begin with, I absolutely adore the setting of this underground cavern, and whilst you're fighting all of the goblins, you just hear the amazing song Down, Down, Down to Goblin Town. One of the more interesting standalone mechanics within the LEGO Hobbit game is the Dwarven team-up ability, and you actually go to use the Dwarven team-up ability to defeat the Goblin King. Within the level of Goblin Town, I really like how you do go to battle the Goblin King twice, and this is one of my favourite levels within LEGO Hobbit. I just love it when you're running around doing all the parkour, solving puzzles, battling the goblins whilst you're trying to escape the cavern. With this being the best boss in particularly for LEGO Hobbit, I'm mainly focusing on the last section where you do go to battle the Goblin King and finally defeat him, as that is a lot better than the first one. As within the first half, all you really do is battle a lot of goblins, and you just keep hearing the Goblin King saying, slash them, feed them, kill them all. That's all he keeps saying. Mind you, he keeps saying it in the second half. I really enjoy how it kind of feels like a little bit of a throwback to the Hogwarts within LEGO Star Wars 3, as the boss is in the main centre of the stage. This for me already makes the boss battle a lot more engaging, as I love how you have to move around him as he starts slamming his club into the floor, which does raise the floorboards, and it can be quite challenging to dodge his attacks, that being for a LEGO game. And oh yes, he does go to calling goblins to help him, but it just makes the boss feel even more cinematic as you're battling his henchmen with him still slamming his club into the floor. And in terms of LEGO Hobbit, it's a really refreshing change to see a boss battle that doesn't revolve around you button mashing. And hey, it's now time to head over to Italy in LEGO Batman 3.
Funny, I thought it'd be bigger.
Well, Superman, I thought LEGO Batman 3 would have been better. In all honesty, I still rather do go to enjoy it. It's got a phenomenal character roster, it's just the planets. But in terms of the best boss, it has to go to Brainiac's Skull Ship. Beginning with the gameplay, I'm gonna be honest, the gameplay isn't all too fantastic. All you really end up doing is reflecting the shrink ray back at Brainiac. And it's not like the shrink ray imposes any threat upon you, because when he does shrink you, all it ends up doing is speeding up all your attacks, so basically you just decimate all of his henchmen. There is a little neat feature where Wonder Woman can block the shrink ray, but what's the point in doing so? You might as well get shrunk. The main prominent standout factor in this boss battle is the setting. You're literally fighting in Little Italy, not the area in New York, I mean literally Little Italy. I really enjoy seeing all of the landmarks as you're battling Brainiac on the Leaning Tower of Pisa, taking out his henchmen, and that is just what elevates this boss battle to be the best in LEGO Batman 3, because all the other bosses in LEGO Batman 3 are on the same level as this in terms of gameplay, so I'm going to base this one off the setting. And I'm going to spare no expense with the next one. Give us the Jurassic Park theme, it's LEGO Jurassic World. LEGO Jurassic World really does take a different approach in how it tackles the boss battles, and I really do go to enjoy it. It's not like you can go hand to hand with a T-Rex, you have to kind of stealth around it and aid other dinosaurs in defeating the main prominent threat. Now in this case, the top of the food chain is the Spinosaurus, so what you need to do is aid our old buddy, the T-Rex, in defeating him. And yes, in this level you do have Amanda Kirby, the woman who can't stop shouting, "Eric!" But she doesn't do it in this boss battle. The boss battle stage is set up in a 360-degree area, and as you go around it, you basically complete puzzles to distract the Spinosaurus. One time you throw pterodactyl eggs at him, alongside a perfectly crafted mechanical tree that whacks the Spinosaurus, perfectly placed within the island of Isla Sorna. It makes no sense. And it is enjoyable when you think about it like that. All of these contraptions are perfectly placed around these two fighting, but I do love that. And they do go to reuse the same T-Rex animation when you're fighting him over and over again, which is a little bit frustrating, but it's probably the best boss in this game by a mile. Even just watching these two scrap it out, I really like how they are posing a threat compared to the Indominus Rex in the final boss where he just stands there. Hello? This boss battle is really cleverly crafted. I really like the concept where you have to aid the T-Rex in defeating the Spinosaurus, and it's so fun just to watch it. Hang on, do you hear that? It looks like we need to jump in time and space to get to the next one, and that is LEGO Dimensions. And oh boy, this next one is
Fantastic.
So I'm only going to mainly focus upon the main story bosses in LEGO Dimensions, and the Dalek Emperor is so good. Granted, I do have a lot of affinity for Doctor Who, but nevertheless, it's still fantastic. And with TT Games being set in the UK, very similar to me, we have a lot of affinity for Doctor Who, and you really can see a lot of time and effort were put into the Doctor Who pack alongside the Doctor Who level in which the Dalek Emperor is featured in. The boss battle really does feel triumphant. You've got the amazing soundtrack blaring in the background as fleets of Daleks just flood in, and it can be quite challenging too, in particularly the Red Dalek, who does take a few hits to defeat. With the Dalek Emperor housing the scale keystone, he actually does go to utilise this within the fight, and he starts shrinking you alongside enlarging you by accident, and it just gets so chaotic you don't even know what's happening, and that's what really makes this boss battle so joyous. One minute you're fighting a giant Dalek, next minute you're kicking it around like it's nothing because you're massive. Now, because it's LEGO Dimensions, the sheer scale of this LEGO game is beyond anything we've ever seen in a LEGO game, and it really just comes down to which is your favourite IP, and for me, Doctor Who is my favourite pack, so I'm going to go with this. However, looking at all of the bosses in the actual story, I do believe this is the best, not just because of my affinity, but you never know, if you're a massive fan of Portal, you might think GLaDOS is the best. It's a bit weird with Dimensions, so it's really up to you.
Does it matter? Call it, I don't know, Dave.
Anyway, give us the Avengers theme, as next up is LEGO Marvel Avengers. It's Ultron. It is literally Ultron. He is the final boss in the game, and he does not disappoint. Now, with him being one of the very few final bosses on the list, well, he actually is the last final boss on this list. Now, when I was ranking all of the final bosses, I actually did place Ultron at number 2 on the list. And well, for good reason. It has a 360-degree camera placed all the way around the centre point of Ultron in the middle, and you have to fight all of his henchmen alongside doing puzzles, and it has defending objectives, which we do not see very often in LEGO games. Now, very similar to Galactus, they do split the heroes into their own separate teams around Ultron in the centre, and I really love how you get to play all of the heroes, and it just feels like the true climax finale, and very memorable, and that's what you want with a final boss. Now, next up, in my opinion, is the worst LEGO game, especially now, and that is LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, with them stretching out one entire Star Wars movie into an entire LEGO game, there's only a few bosses, and my favourite, well, the best one, has to be Emperor Palpatine. Now, just quickly, if you compare this to the final boss in the game, that being Kylo Ren, all that boss battle is just simply you waiting around for a button mashing opportunity to pop up. And it really is not engaging one bit. Literally, you just sat there waiting for him to attack you, like, come on buddy, come on. I ain't got all day. Oh wow, that were very northern. Anyway, on to Emperor Palpatine. In all honesty, this boss battle is rather enjoyable. It's a bit simplistic and it can be enjoyable, but out of the three that I have to choose from, that one of them being FN2187 or Kylo Ren, it has to be this. For me, the complete saga version of this boss is a lot better alongside the Skywalker saga. This one just feels a little bit flat. Mainly due to a lot of the gameplay is just simply you watching a cutscene after you do a very basic puzzle using the Force. That is pretty much why. Anyway, next up is LEGO Worlds, and well, there's no bosses in LEGO Worlds, so next up is LEGO Ninjago the movie, the video game, still a mouthful. LEGO Dimensions for me was the true LEGO Ninjago game. It was amazing to see it based off the actual show with all the lovable characters, and this one was based off the movie that aired in 2017, and the bosses are just glorified henchmen. That is for the most part. There obviously is a few exceptions, and my favourite was the Mecha Crab from level 2. Yes. A crab. Now, with LEGO Ninjago the movie video game being so vibrant, I had to turn down my brightness because you're battling the Mecha Crab on the beach, it were blinding me, it were that bright. Now, the freedom this boss battle gives the player is a really nice refreshing change. You've literally got the entirety of the beach to battle the Mecha Crab as he's charging up and down on the beach front. It does look pretty amazing when you're dodging out the way of his missiles as they're blowing up, and in terms of defeating him, you just wait for him to charge and then you simply jump up, kick back, whip around and spin and attack. This one really stood out to me as the best boss because I love the freedom that you get with the entirety of the beach accessible to battle the Mecha Crab, and it does look really amazing with the entire city in the background, so I'm going to give it to the Mecha Crab. Next up is LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2, and this one goes to the Red King.
Let the games begin!
LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 really does have an abundance of bosses within the game itself. You've got tons from the Marvel comics alongside their own created bosses such as Karnu. Well, many may argue the final boss battle against Kang the Conqueror is a little bit underwhelming, and I can completely resonate with that. Surprisingly though, the Red King is the best boss within the game. I am a massive fan of the entire setting of this boss, that being the Sakaar Arena. Just the sheer detail placed into this arena, I have to say it's a lot better than the Petronaki Arena in the Skywalker saga. Now, in some sort of regard, you're kinda getting 2 for 1 here because you battle the Red King on his giant serpent alongside the Red King on his orc. To me though, I found it really interesting how Captain America's shield is the main factor in defeating this boss. Such as once you've finished obviously Hulk smashing him apart, you need to switch to Captain America as he's the only character which allows you to bypass his flamethrower, and he does this by using his shield. That is exactly what really draws me towards this boss battle as being the best one, because I really love how engaging it is. You are constantly on your feet battling the Red King in the arena, and there's no cutscene to take you out of the gameplay. It is very hands-on. Except from the part where you sat there with your shield waiting for the Red King to fire his laser at you, like, come on buddy. Not to forget how satisfying it is when you defeat him, because it's not all what it seems. It's just an average guy in a big suit. And how many times does Edna have to say it? No capes. We don't like capes. Next up is LEGO Incredibles from 2018 with the Omni Droid. Now, with this being the final boss in the game, and yes, they do make you play Incredibles 2 before Incredibles 1, you know, which is slightly annoying. Anyway, within this boss battle, you are constantly traversing and chasing down the Omni Droid, and it really makes it stand out just due to this, as you're constantly moving through ravines as gas pipes are blowing up, then you turn into a boat to head down the stream. Yes, you could argue this is mainly part of the level, but in all honesty, it's a very similar case to Galactus. The Omni Droid is always present within the entire fight, so I see this more as a boss battle instead of the level because he's always there. The verticality again is just pristine within this entire boss battle. When you're scaling up the buildings, the Omni Droid is constantly punching through the walls trying to attack you. In terms of the true finale, all you end up doing is collecting Incredibricks as all of the incredible characters alongside Frozone. And yes, we do get the cutscene. Honey, where's my super suit? That's my best, you know. We'll leave it at that. You get where I'm coming from. Looking back at the entire segment where you're constantly chasing and traversing after the Omni Droid, I have to say this is easily the best boss because it is a really great segment. Oh yeah, look at that. That is a real-life LEGO lightsaber. And I just wanted to let you guys know, OwnASaber are doing an amazing special deal. If you add any 2 sabers to your cart, you can get $100 off. Alongside, if you add 3, you can get $150 off. Pretty much a free saber. The quality of their sabers are amazing. The soundboard is really great, and I love the weights behind them, and they're not too heavy. And when you look at it, it definitely belongs in a museum. And no, that doesn't mean LEGO Indiana Jones is up next. As up next is LEGO DC Supervillains. And I've got to ask you, do you like jazz? Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. The main reason why is the first boss battle within the game actually takes place within Penguin's Lounge, and you battle Batgirl alongside Nightwing whilst Penguins are playing jazz. I mean, look at him. And after years of waiting for a LEGO game on which you finally play as the villains as the main centre point, well, this is a phenomenal boss battle because you're literally going up against Batgirl and Nightwing, and you play as all of your favourite villains such as Clayface, Riddler, Two-Face, Scarecrow, and finally Penguin. And I really like the battle against Batgirl in particularly. I really love how you can utilise all of his abilities such as blocking the batarangs with his umbrella. And whilst all of this is happening, you have jazz in the background. I mean, happy days. Again, I am a massive fan of how the camera zooms in when you're fighting the boss. It's a little bit like the dueling system in LEGO Harry Potter years 5 to 7, but it's a lot more better because you can freely move around. Overall, the boss battle has a really great atmosphere, especially with the jazz in the background. Anyway, it's time to jump over to 2019 with LEGO Movie 2, the video game. One of the worst rated LEGO games. In terms of LEGO Movie 2, a lot of the bosses are radically different to previous LEGO game bosses, as all of them pretty much revolve around you scaling up the boss. It's almost like the developers have taken inspiration from Shadow of Colossus in all sense. But my favourite has to be the chameleon. Straight off the bat, the scale of this boss is rather impressive. He's always in the background watching you, especially when he shoots his tongue down to try and hit you. Even to the likes of when you're scaling up the boss, I really do love the entire size and scale of the chameleon, and LEGO Movie 2 in all honesty is quite impressive in terms of the bosses, even though there's only a few. Fair enough, when you do get to the top, it is a very simple minigame. All you pretty much do is hit these little Teletubby jelly beans. With LEGO Movie 2 having one of the shortest LEGO game stories, there ain't all too many bosses to choose, and I've had to go with the chameleon because I do like how you use the paint wand to match the colour of the chameleon's skin to these seeds. And this is the boss I really did enjoy the most out of the entire game, because I loved it when you were swinging around on his tail across the big planet and you really did see the entire scale on how high up you are. With there only being a minor few bosses to choose from, and it definitely will not be the final boss because that is shocking, I have to go with the chameleon. It is now time to head over to a galaxy far, far away in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and the best boss in this one is Luke vs Vader from The Empire Strikes Back. I mean, LEGO games have really come a long way, and this really reflects the journey. I mean, the already amazing grounded combat in the Skywalker Saga already helps emphasize how incredible this boss is. I mean, you've got the option to use air combos alongside parry attacks, evade out of attacks, use special abilities, and the famous slam attack. TT Games really did need to polish this boss battle to be the best it can be, because this is the most iconic scene across all Star Wars media. Now, with that giant burden upon your back, you really need to make this the best boss it can be, and this may be one of the best bosses on the list, or possibly the best. Balancing all of the aspects I have mentioned on this list, you are constantly traversing and chasing down Vader, and again, you really do feel the presence of Vader because he is a lot more powerful than you, and he definitely toys around with you. With this being one of the most serious scenes within all of Star Wars media, they really go to balance the comedy perfectly through the likes of where you enter the rooms where Lando Calrissian's capes are stored alongside the Ugnaughts playing cards. And it is really perfectly balanced the comedy within this because it doesn't take away the seriousness because you still know Vader is lurking around the corner. And when you stumble across your elusive father, he just throws you around like you're absolutely nothing. He throws you outside of a window, he then starts playing catch with you. At least he's tried to make the effort there. Then I'm sure you know how it ends. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you did go to enjoy, a like would be mega appreciated, as this one did take quite a while to make. Anyway though, if you want to check out any of my other LEGO game videos, there'll be a playlist here. Hope you all have a fan-dabby-dozy week, and I'll see you in a bit. Adios.